Heart story. Emma had always loved the quiet afternoons she spent with her grandfather, sorting through old keepsakes and listening to his stories. One rainy Saturday, as they sat in his cozy living room, Emma noticed his wallet was unusually bulky. Curiosity got the better of her, and with a gentle smile, she asked if she could look inside. Among faded receipts and worn bills, a delicate, time-worn photograph slipped out, a picture of two young men, arms slung over each other's shoulders, grinning wide under the golden glow of a summer sunset. The edges were frayed, and the faces slightly blurred, but the warmth in their eyes was unmistakable. When Emma looked up to ask about it, her grandfather's eyes clouded with memories, and he quietly said, "That photo holds a story this town needs to hear." From that moment, Emma knew she was about to uncover something extraordinary. Emma gently asked her grandfather about the photo, but he hesitated. His fingers trembled slightly as he tucked the picture back into a worn leather wallet. "It's an old memory," he said softly, avoiding her gaze. "Not everyone in town knows about it, and some prefer it that way." Emma sensed there was more than just nostalgia behind his words, a story weighed down by years of silence. Still, the warmth between the two young men in the photo tugged at her heart, urging her to dig deeper. Determined, she promised gently, "I want to understand. Maybe it's time the story came out." Her grandfather sighed, a mixture of relief and apprehension washing over him. The door had been cracked open. Emma was ready to walk through it, and what she would discover next would shake the whole community. That evening, Emma sat at her desk, the faded photo laid carefully before her. The faces were familiar, but the story was a mystery begging to be solved. She pulled out her notebook, jotting down questions and observations. Who were the young men? What had tied them together so closely? And why did her grandfather guard this memory so fiercely? She reached out to her mother, then to family friends, hoping someone could shed light on the photo's past. But the answers were elusive, snippets of old gossip, averted glances, and hushed tones. Undeterred, Emma decided to visit the local library and historical society the next day, ready to follow every lead. She wasn't just chasing a story, she was chasing a truth that could change everything her community thought it knew. And as she closed her notebook, a spark of hope ignited inside her. The journey was just beginning. The next morning, Emma walked into the Pinewood Public Library, determination in her step. She approached the local history section, running her fingers over dusty photo albums and yellowed newspapers. With the librarian's help, she dug through microfilm reels, searching for any mention of the two young men in the photo. Names were scarce, but one clue stood out. A faded newspaper clipping about a community baseball game from the 1950s, mentioning a friendship between a James and a Michael, both local heroes in their own right. Emma's heart raced. This was more than coincidence. She carefully photographed the clipping and made notes, feeling the threads of a story beginning to weave together. The library, once a quiet refuge, now felt like a gateway to the past, a place where secrets waited patiently to be uncovered. Emma's next stop was her grandmother's house, a place filled with old albums and whispered stories. She carefully unfolded faded letters and scanned black and white photos, hoping to find something familiar. Her grandmother smiled wistfully as Emma showed her the photo. "That was James and Michael," she said softly. "Best friends since childhood, but their story wasn't always easy." Her grandmother spoke of a time when the town was divided, racial tensions, economic struggles, and how those two boys had bridged gaps others feared to cross. Emma listened, heart heavy with the weight of unspoken history. The photo wasn't just a snapshot, it was a symbol of courage and hope, hidden for decades. With each revelation, Emma felt closer to her grandfather's past and more determined to share this powerful story with the community. Emma reached out to a few elderly residents, hoping their memories could fill in the blanks. One afternoon, she sat with Mrs. Thompson, a retired schoolteacher who had witnessed the town's struggles firsthand. Over a cup of tea, Mrs. Thompson recounted stories of James and Michael, their friendship tested by community pressures, yet unbroken. They taught us that kindness could cross any divide, she said, eyes shining with tears. Emma recorded every word, realizing the photo was a gateway to a larger narrative about unity and resilience. The stories, once buried beneath decades of silence, began to ripple through her mind. With each conversation, Emma felt the community's heartbeat grow stronger, and she knew her mission wasn't just about her grandfather anymore, it was about bringing a whole town's hidden past into the light. One crisp autumn afternoon, Emma met Mr. Harold Jenkins, an elderly man who had been a close friend of her grandfather. They sat on his porch, surrounded by oak trees turning gold. Harold's eyes twinkled with nostalgia as he pulled out his own faded photograph, the same two boys, smiling beneath a tall oak. He began to share stories of their childhood, long summer days filled with baseball games, secret hideouts, and whispered dreams. But beneath the laughter was a tale of hardship, a town divided by fear and prejudice, where James and Michael's friendship was an act of quiet rebellion. Harold's voice grew softer as he recalled the sacrifices they made to keep their bond alive. Emma listened intently, realizing the faded photo was not just about family history, but a testament to courage that had shaped the community's very soul. Harold's stories revealed a hidden chapter of Pinewood's history, one of segregation, fear, and courage. James and Michael weren't just friends, they were symbols of hope in a town struggling to heal. Harold recounted how the two young men had organized secret meetings, bridging divides through shared music, sports, and laughter. Their bond inspired others, slowly changing attitudes, but it also brought danger. Rumors spread, and tensions flared. There were nights when the friends had to sneak through back alleys, avoiding confrontations fueled by old prejudices. Yet, they never wavered. Emma felt a growing respect for her grandfather's generation, how they had faced not just external challenges but also the hard work of changing hearts. The faded photo was now a powerful reminder of resilience, a story that deserved to be told loud and clear. As Harold leaned back in his chair, he lowered his voice and shared the moment that had defined them all. One summer evening, a fire broke out near the edge of town, a blaze threatening to consume the homes of many families. James and Michael didn't hesitate. Together, they rallied neighbors from both sides of the divide, forming bucket brigades and dousing flames with whatever they could find. That night, their courage and unity saved Pinewood from disaster. It was a turning point, proving that despite differences, community could stand strong. The faded photo captured the two boys just weeks after the fire, smiles wide with relief and unspoken pride. Emma sat silently, understanding now why her grandfather held that picture close. It wasn't just a memory, it was a legacy. One she was determined to share with the town that needed it most. Back at home, Emma rummaged through a dusty box of her grandfather's belongings, hoping to find more clues. Beneath old newspapers and worn letters, she uncovered a leather-bound journal and a carefully folded letter, yellowed with age. As she opened the journal, the pages revealed detailed accounts of those difficult years, notes about friendship, fear, and hope. The letter was addressed, "To those who remember," written in her grandfather's careful handwriting. It spoke of the fire, the unity forged in adversity, and a plea to never forget the power of community. Emma felt her heart swell with both sadness and pride. This wasn't just a family story anymore, it was a call to action. The faded photo was a symbol, a reminder that the past still had lessons for the present. With renewed purpose, Emma knew she had to share this story with everyone. Reading deeper into the journal, Emma discovered vivid descriptions of challenges her grandfather and his friend faced, both from the world around them and within themselves. There were entries about secret meetings, whispered plans to unite the community, and moments of quiet fear before public acts of bravery. The journal was filled with sketches of the neighborhood, notes on who could be trusted, and reflections on the price of standing up for what's right. The letter urged readers to cherish their neighbors and work toward unity, reminding future generations that courage often comes in small, quiet acts. Emma realized that the story behind the faded photo was far more than nostalgia, it was a blueprint for resilience and hope. She felt a powerful responsibility to honor this legacy and make sure the community remembered what had been sacrificed for its peace. Emma shared the journal and letter with her parents and close relatives. At first, there was hesitation, a reluctance to revisit old wounds long buried. But as the pages were read aloud, around the kitchen table, a quiet understanding blossomed. Stories once kept silent were finally given voice, and family members found solace in shared memory. Word spread quickly through the community, sparking conversations and reunions. The faded photo became a symbol of collective courage, a reminder that even the darkest times can be illuminated by friendship and unity. Emma felt a deep connection, not just to her grandfather, but to the entire town's history. What had started as a simple discovery in an old wallet was now a story that would rock the community, inspiring healing and hope for years to come. The story Emma uncovered quickly captured the hearts of Pinewood residents. At the next town meeting, the mayor praised the courage and unity embodied by James and Michael's friendship. Residents shared their own memories of the past struggles, revealing how the bond between the two young men had quietly shaped their community. Inspired by Emma's determination, a local historian proposed creating a permanent exhibit at the community center dedicated to the story. Volunteers began collecting photos, letters, and artifacts, turning the faded photograph into a symbol of hope and reconciliation. Emma found herself invited to speak at schools and community groups, her voice carrying the message of resilience and unity. The town, once divided by unspoken tensions, was beginning to heal, strengthened by the legacy she had helped reveal. Local schools organized art and essay contests inspired by James and Michael's friendship. Students painted murals depicting scenes from the story, while teachers incorporated lessons about courage and empathy into their curriculum. Emma helped facilitate these projects, thrilled to see younger generations embracing the legacy. A community festival was planned for the anniversary of the fire, celebrating unity and resilience. Old friends and new faces gathered, sharing food, music, and stories beneath banners that bore the faded photo's image. For many, it was a moment to reflect and recommit to building a stronger, more inclusive Pinewood. Emma watched as families laughed and children played, feeling a deep sense of pride. The faded photo was no longer just a memory, it was a living testament to what a community could overcome together. At the festival's closing ceremony, Emma stood before the crowd, the faded photo framed beside her. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke about friendship, courage, and the power of stories to heal. Tears glistened in many eyes, young and old alike. Her grandfather watched from the front row, pride softening the lines on his face. For years, the story had been locked away, but now it was a beacon lighting the way forward. Emma realized that by unearthing the past, she had given her community a gift far greater than memories, a renewed sense of belonging and hope. As the crowd cheered, Emma smiled quietly. The journey had been long, but the story was just beginning to change lives. News of Pinewood's story spread beyond town limits, capturing attention in nearby communities and social media circles. Local news stations aired segments about Emma's discovery and the friendship that helped heal a divided town. Messages of support poured in from all over the state, with people sharing similar stories from their own neighborhoods. Inspired by the impact, Emma began collaborating with community leaders and historians to create workshops that encouraged dialogue and unity. Schools invited her to speak about the power of uncovering hidden histories and embracing diversity. The faded photo, once a quiet relic, had become a symbol of hope and resilience. Emma realized that this wasn't just a family's story, it was a message for everyone, that even in the darkest times, kindness and courage could light the way forward. Inspired by Emma's story, neighboring towns began reaching out to Pinewood for advice on fostering community unity. Grassroots groups formed to collect and share untold histories, encouraging people to celebrate shared values despite differences. Emma helped organize intertown forums where residents could exchange stories and build bridges. Meanwhile, local artists created murals honoring James and Michael's friendship, turning walls into canvases of reconciliation. Schools incorporated the story into diversity and history lessons, giving students a living example of courage and empathy. Emma watched as the faded photo's legacy grew, no longer confined to a dusty wallet but thriving in hearts across the region. It was proof that one story, when told with honesty and hope, could ignite a movement that transformed not just a town, but many. One quiet evening, Emma sat beneath an old oak in the town square, reflecting on how a simple photo had sparked so much change. The town was different now, more open, more connected, and more willing to confront its past. She thought about her grandfather's quiet strength and the sacrifices he and his friend had made. Families who once kept to themselves now gathered, sharing stories and meals under the stars. The faded photo had become a beacon, reminding everyone that healing starts with remembering, and with courage. Emma knew the journey wasn't over. But in that moment, surrounded by laughter and light, she understood the truth her grandfather had lived by: the past shapes the future, but it's the choices we make today that build the bridges across time. As the anniversary of the fire approached, Emma helped organize a town-wide celebration honoring James and Michael's legacy. The community center was decorated with photos, memorabilia, and artwork inspired by their story. Local musicians played songs that had once brought the town together during difficult times. Emma worked tirelessly, coordinating volunteers and sharing her grandfather's journal excerpts during speeches. The event attracted visitors from neighboring towns, eager to witness the story of friendship and courage that had transformed Pinewood. During the ceremony, Emma felt a profound connection, not only to her family's history but to the entire community. She realized that the faded photo was more than a picture, it was a bridge between generations, a symbol of hope that would inspire future leaders to carry the torch forward. The celebration sparked ideas far beyond Emma's expectations. Inspired by the story, local schools proposed creating a Unity Scholarship in honor of James and Michael, aimed at supporting students dedicated to community service and leadership. Neighborhood groups planned regular events promoting inclusivity and dialogue. Emma found herself mentoring young people eager to learn about the town's history and how to build bridges in their own lives. The story that had started with a faded photo in a wallet was now inspiring real change. With each conversation and new initiative, Emma saw the spirit of her grandfather and his friend living on. Their legacy wasn't frozen in time, it was growing, breathing, and shaping a better future for Pinewood and beyond. As twilight settled over the town square, lanterns flickered to life and soft music filled the air. Families, elders, and children gathered beneath a newly unveiled mural depicting James and Michael's friendship, a vibrant testament to courage and unity. Emma stood beside her grandfather, hand in hand, both moved by the love surrounding them. Mayor Lewis stepped forward to declare the day officially Friendship and Courage Day in Pinewood, a celebration of values that had healed old wounds and built new bridges. The crowd erupted in applause, voices joined in a hopeful chorus. Emma looked up at the mural, feeling the weight and warmth of the story she had helped tell. The faded photo had become more than a memory, it was the heartbeat of a community renewed. And with that, she knew their journey was far from over, it was just beginning. Determined to ensure the story lived on beyond Pinewood, Emma started a blog and YouTube channel dedicated to sharing local histories and untold stories of courage. She recorded interviews, uploaded photos, and wrote articles that drew attention far beyond her small town. Messages poured in from across the country, people sharing their own family stories of friendship, bravery, and healing. Emma realized the faded photo had become a symbol not just for Pinewood, but for anyone seeking connection and hope in a divided world. With each post, she felt her grandfather's spirit guiding her, reminding her that stories have power, power to heal, unite, and inspire. Emma's mission was clear, to carry the legacy forward, one story at a time. Emma's channel grew steadily, attracting viewers from diverse backgrounds who found solace and inspiration in the stories she told. Schools invited her to give virtual talks, and community groups used her videos as discussion starters. One day, Emma received an email from a historian in a distant state who had uncovered similar stories of friendship and resilience in their own town. They proposed a collaboration to create a network of local storytellers committed to preserving and sharing histories that unite rather than divide. Emma was thrilled. What started as a quest to understand a faded photo in her grandfather's wallet had blossomed into a movement, connecting people through the universal power of memory and courage. She knew this was just the beginning. Together, they would amplify voices that had long been silent. Years later, Emma sat in her home studio, reflecting on the journey that began with a faded photo and a grandfather's guarded secret. The stories she shared had reached thousands, inspiring people to explore their own family histories and embrace community bonds. She smiled as she prepared her next video, reminding viewers that every story, no matter how small, holds the power to change lives. Emma's mission was clear: to honor the past, strengthen the present, and inspire the future. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, let's keep these memories alive and celebrate the quiet heroes among us. Thank you for being part of this journey. See you in the next story.